let's talk about that Peacemaker finale. What are your first thoughts on that?
Called Aquaman a dickhead. That was pretty good. I'm sure a lot of people empathize with that.
Did you see that one coming? Did you see you heard the rumor that there was going to be a cameo, and then basically there was 4 cameos, but 2 were like legit cameos that wow, I did not see that coming.
Well, I feel like it's one overall cameo because it's basically a cameo of the Snyder Cut. Or
Yeah.
is this the Josh Cut? This is more the Josh Cut.
No, I think this is the Snyder Cut because I did not realize how much of a history that James Gunn actually had with Zack Snyder. Because what did he write?
He wrote the first Dawn of the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be more Snyderverse because they have history. And here's the hot take. Maybe you let James Gunn and Zack Snyder, instead of fighting them on that, why don't you just give them the reins? Because you can't give James Gunn the reins on everything. But clearly, he knows how to get somebody over, and that's it. John Cena, if you get him in WrestleMania, you're going to be lucky because now he's a megastar from this. I think this show was great. It was so good. It really highlighted how well the Suicide Squad movie was that a lot of people didn't get to see. But in a weird way, it became better because you got to focus on one of those characters. And he got everybody over, including Peacemaker, which did this work because of John Cena's wrestling mentality where the best wrestling characters are just heightened versions of themselves. And this just got to be John Cena, who was rumored to have like a really weird and quirky, if you follow his Instagram feed where he just posts weird shit. And now he just became the Deadpool of DC.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just kind of he's really fearless as far as doing silly shit and humiliating himself. You know what I mean?
He is, yeah.
And I think that blends well with James Gunn's style.
Yeah.
You know, because he's really good with doing something like really heartfelt and emotional, and then somebody gets their face blown off right after. You know what I mean? He's got that tone shifting that he does. I think he just fits really well with that. He's an over the top kind of character. I think they're kind of because that's what I don't think Cena gets over in movies as a serious babyface.
No.
You know, he's got to be a comedy babyface. He's got a comedy face. I said this before.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think they need to lean into it. And this was perfect. You got the action feel because he looks like an action figure, but like you said, he also has that weird comedy chops because you remember his comedy stuff more than you remember his serious stuff. Nobody really wants to talk about the Marine, right?
Nobody remembers 12 rounds.
No, you don't remember any of this. But I mean, The Rock went through this too, right?
You barely remember him in that last Fast and the Furious movie.
No. Except I was like, man, he's just really too big to be sitting in a car like that, is all I really remember. But other than John Cena, who, again, other than breaking the fourth wall, would you say that he's on par with Deadpool on how fast and improv, and maybe they workshopped it, but it felt like Deadpool works because Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. Did we get that same thing that Peacemaker worked because John Cena is Peacemaker?
Yeah, I think to an extent, yes, for sure.
Yeah. And
again, it's just his comedy chops that make it work.
And full disclosure, 0 times, if I had a dime for every time I fast forwarded that Peacemaker intro, I'd have 0 dimes. Shout out to Enzo Amore. But yeah, I never fast forwarded that thing at all. Did you ever fast forward it? I couldn't stop.
I did. I watched it the one time. I have fast forwarded.
I watched it every single time, and each time I focused on a different character. And then I saw a YouTube breakdown, and he basically said the entire season is explained in that opening crawl.
Okay, now I got to watch it.
Yeah, and I was just like, and then I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh my God, he literally told the story of how things were going to unfurl. Is that a word? Unfurl in the intro. And now it's just like, what do they do on season 2? Mike had a great idea. He's like, maybe he used the same song, but this time it's going to be like synchronized swimming or something. But like, I don't think you get a different song, but it's James Gunn, so maybe he does get a different song. But everybody in there, Hardcourt, Adebayo, Economos, Diebeard, Vigilante, they stole the show. Even Judo Master. I mean, everybody on there, he pulled a Paul Heyman that he had no throwaway characters. All his characters were in there, and for whether it's for a little bit or a lot, they got the entire show over. To now, at the end, when you had that cameo, he basically called, the Justice League assholes for being late. And now it's just like he just bumped himself up to that level, right? Is he now on level with the Justice League?
Well, I mean, he exists in their world, and like the whole. Well, aside from the villains, which are aliens, the show is pretty grounded. Peacemaker doesn't have any superpowers that I know of, does he?
No, just his helmets.
Right. So
yeah.
So like the whole show is pretty grounded, and then when you see Justice League as part of the world, it sort of gives the whole show the rub.
Yeah. No, I think it did, and the body doubles that they got for Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill were spot on, where those silhouettes looked exactly like them. But props to Ezra Miller and Aquaman for going along with the joke, basically, and dropping an F-bomb that really was just like, okay, yeah, they were in on it. Felt like they were in on the joke, right?
Absolutely, 100%. It was interesting to me that it was just the legit Jack Snyder Justice League, though.
Yeah, no, that it was. I mean, and I don't know. I always felt like Jason Momoa, like Ezra, like I feel like all those characters. I don't really think much about the Justice League, to be quite honest. I feel like the Justice League by default were basically what do they call it, retconned?
Yeah, I feel like Snyder could kind of wiped it out from history because I can't imagine anyone wanting to see Justice League and deciding to watch the Justice Cut.
Yeah, would they do that now? It's just like, other than like if TNT or someone, I'm sorry, I think TNT's got a deal with Marvel right now. They're just showing Marvel stuff. But if you went back and say you need to watch the Justice League, you're going to watch the Zack Snyder version. You're not going to tell anyone to watch the Joss Whedon version. And I think there was a reason why Cyborg and Batman weren't in there that I was listening on another YouTube video. I think the Batman was not in there because obviously the Batman is coming out next week, so they didn't want any kind of confusion with that version of Batman. And then the whole thing with the Flash, they're going to be doing stuff with the different versions of Batman, so I don't think they... But I couldn't remember why they said that Cyborg wasn't in there. I would have liked to have him in there.
Well, I mean, Cyborg has major heat with Warner Brothers, the guy who plays Cyborg.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're going to even allude to that character. I mean, they're going to erase that.
Yeah, and that sucks.
For legal reasons.
And yeah, and I guess they basically don't want the battle. But I really think I would have liked to see it in there as a goodwill gesture because he's still a fan favorite, and he did a great job in there, so it would have been cool as a fan favorite gesture, but illegally the lawyers don't really care about fan favorite gestures.
He won't be back. It's like the equivalent of complaining to HR at your job, and all of a sudden, everything is locked down. Nope, no interactions.
Yeah, you're part of the layoff. So.